Welcome back, my fellow duplicants, to Oxygen Not Included. This is the megabase challenge. In the last episode here, we gave every single duplicant their own personal exosuit. Look at them, they're all chilling in the little bubble heads and having a whole lot of fun with that. So that has opened up a couple of new opportunities. One of them being potentially, that we have talked about several times in the comments over here, many of you guys have commented on it, is the idea of encapsulating our duplicants in like safe zones. So these buildings where they would actually sleep, this would just be nice, clean oxygen at the right temperature, and then the rest of the base could be absolute chaos. And it was actually recommended at, somebody saying, well, why don't you fill the rest of your base with chlorine? Like, it seems like an absolute horrible idea, right? So, okay, dupes, today we're going to be filling the entire base with a poisonous gas. So that's the goal at some point, to try to get to the point where we're going to be able to fill the entire base with poisonous gas. However, that's not going to be today's exact goal, because there's some things we need to do in order to get that far into the whole base and everything. And to do that, essentially what we're going to need to do is to isolate the areas of that are vital to our survival. So that's going to be over here inside of the med bay. So this area here would need to be isolated. So we'd have to have locks, and essentially what we're going to want to have is water locks. However, I would like to do this with naphtha. So in order to do that, what I need to do is to tap into the crude oil, make some plastic stuff, and then melt that down. Not only that, plastic is pretty awesome. So I want to finally break into the oil. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, is getting into the oil production down here and starting to dig into the difficulties I'm going to have to deal with, because this oil is at 125 degrees Celsius. So it's really hot, but I'm going to hopefully turn some of this into plastic, and then we can start to use that throughout the base, from here on. So that is today's plan. Let's get to it. Okay, I've also noticed that my water system is completely backed up as far as polluted water is concerned. Look at this, totally messed up. And that's because these reed fibers, they are overheated, so I have to kind of pump away from that. My voice is a little bit tired. I've been dealing with a little bit of sickness. I think everybody's a little sick, at least where I'm at these days. So that's kind of what I have to deal with right now. So I'm not going to be like super energetic today, but I will try my best. But here we go. I think it might be in my best interest to just get rid of this farm down here. It's not doing anything. The body temperature is terrible. I don't know. This is a weird spot. Like, I don't need this anymore, but it's still here. You know what I might be able to do? I might be able to just move these wheezeworts a little bit closer. If I just deconstruct that and kind of move it over, that might do enough to make it work. So then I can move the manual generator right next to it, because it doesn't actively give off heat. I mean, unless I guess it's running, right? But the battery that does give off heat, I can kind of park that over here so that it's not right next to the reed fiber. That should hopefully solve that problem. Oh, you know where we saw this similar thing happened? It was in the sleet wheat farm. Remember where you had the wheezeworts, and they had to be within a certain range of those sleet wheat plants in order to grow correctly. So I think by doing this here, you can see how that's kind of changed the dynamic. This isn't the best spot for it, but now they're all growing. So that was an easy fix. All right, so with that minor problem out of the way, let's take a look at the crude oil down here. Now there is, holy moly, a lot of crude oil down here. Look at how much, at 20,000 kilograms. This is going to expand rapidly once we dig into it. Luckily, we do have our exosuits, so let's go ahead and see what happens once I tap into this. I'm guessing that it's going to fill up like this entire chamber. Matter of fact, I might, before I dig into that, I might just want to dig this area out and prepare it for the idea that I'm going to build some equipment up here. So one of the interesting comments that I was reading over here, that it ended up right here at the top, was just how resilient these exosuits are. And it was actually talked about that they could potentially go and touch with lava for a little while, and we might be able to actually bottle it and move it around. I'm not 100% sure that that's all going to work, but if it is absolutely possible, then there's a really cool way that we can convert and make more sand, which is a nice filtering system. So we'll be able to kind of dig into that a little bit more, and also refine other metals, potentially with that, not to mention using the different furnace techniques that we might be able to explore here pretty soon. But I really want to get into that pretty soon. So that'll be cool. I've got a little bit of construction going on here. Be able to dig all of this out just to kind of take care of it and let this oil do its thing. But I really want to look into refining the metals and getting into some more of that harder to achieve stuff like steel, tungsten, and all of that good stuff. So you guys have left a couple of recommendations. It would be pretty cool to see what we'll be able to do with that afterward. Not to mention, with all of this crude oil down here so hot, there's a good chance I can convert a lot of this into steam and kind of make use of that. Not to mention use these little slicksters. There's a lot of good stuff we can do here in the near future. The next update for this game looks like it's scheduled for in the next 2 weeks. So I'm kind of curious to see what they'll be bringing out next. This last update was really good. Let's just go ahead and mop this if I can. It's so nice that my duplicates down here, I mean, if you look at their status, they're just so happy, you know? They don't have to worry about all this horribleness that's down here. A lot of them would be on fire right about now, hurt. Could potentially destroy my base, but for right now, that's not the situation. One of the other things I've been exploring this week is a couple of things. One, Fortnite, for those of you guys that are into that game, they just had a recent new event that came out, which is the Halloween event, and I've been playing that, and that's been really good. There's some great rewards, a whole new zone. It's pretty good. I like it. I've been enjoying that. The other thing is Destiny 2 on PC. I did not have real high hopes for it, but now that I've kind of experienced it a little bit more and I have some people to play with, it's actually pretty enjoyable. I like it. I did enjoy Destiny 1, but it wasn't like one of those games where it's like, oh, I absolutely have to have this game. It's kind of, it was a good game, but not like, I wasn't obsessed with it. Yeah, see, some of this polluted water is already so hot that it's turned into steam. What might we be able to do with that? Of course, all this ore that I'm going to dig up here, it's going to be super hot, and then it's going to end up right inside my base. And my base is starting to get toasty. Like, real toasty. Look at this. That's pretty hot. So I think before I get a little bit too crazy with things, I'm going to try to get this little Wheezewort and at least add one more cooling element to that base. Ooh, and there's some more wolframite down there. That'll be good. Okay, so one of the main advantages we could do with like the naphtha waterlock is that you can create a vacuum in between the two zones, and the heat won't be able to transfer across because, you know, it would have to go through abyssalite, which is, you know, as we already know, is very, very resistant to thermal, you know, energy transferring through it. And a vacuum, you obviously can't transfer across the vacuum. And the advantage with naphtha is that it isn't, it won't turn into anything else. So right now, as far as the game is concerned, in this current state, it can just continuously get hotter and hotter and it won't change. So even though one side's incredibly hot, the other side could be super cold and it won't matter. Oh, okay, good. Check this out. So now all of this polluted water has started to go down again because these plants are sucking it up. So I no longer have to deal with that. I should really just get rid of this battery. It's just sitting here constantly. Oh well. Don't worry about it. Okay, fine, I'll fix it. So one of the other advantages of plastic tiles that we'll be looking at here pretty soon is that they increase the run speed by 50%. And if we take a look at what the suit is applying to our duplicates, we'll see that the athletics is actually going down. So they're running a little bit slower because you can see the Atmo suit in this case is -6. So there was actually a comment over there pointing that out, and I wasn't really aware of all the buffs and debuffs of the Atmo suit, but it's really good that you pointed that out because in this case, that's something that's definitely going to, you know, hinder, I guess, our ability to get work done day by day because we're, you know, moving around slower. So replacing it with plastic is a great idea. Oh no, Bubbles! Bubbles is trapped. Why are you trapped? Because you don't have enough oxygen making it to your exosuit. That's what's going on. We found a problem. Let's see if we can get her some oxygen before she dies of starvation. Nope, she jumped in her suit even though she seemed to be doing alright. That could have been really bad though. I have no idea why this dock here keeps saying repair task assigned. Like, I don't understand. It's not being damaged. Why are you saying that? Alright, so here's a little Weezwort that I put over here, and you can see how much it's trying to fight all of that heat that might potentially be coming off of the storage compactor over here. I suppose I could always just close the storage compactor at some point, but for right now, I think that works pretty good. Alright, so now we pretty much got all the work done. So let's go ahead and tap into this oil for the first time. Here we go, come on now. And the next day. Cycle 400 though. I think we've survived a pretty good long time thus far. Boom, here it comes. All of this crude oil is rushing out of the ground now. It's moving pretty quick too. I wonder how high it's going to go. Look at this weirdness. Huh. So it's crude oil, and then it trapped a pocket of polluted water. And it's doing this over and over again. Is there any crazy thing we could do with this sort of technique, huh? What could we do with that? It seems like a wild method to trap a liquid within a liquid. And then it can't get out. Huh. What if it were to turn to steam in here? I think I'm gonna wanna cap this sucker off. I mean, that's a lot of hotness right there. That seems to be making its way potentially up into my base. Okay, so I'm gonna try to trap this with a Bissolite all the way over here. See if I can do all of this. I guess you get a buff to digging when you're inside of an exosuit. If I take a look at the stats here, yeah, Atmosuit plus 10 to digging. Wow, that's really useful. All right, so this is good. I can see the temperature here is starting to not continue to blow up into my base. That will be good. Now, I'm gonna have a lot of equipment as far as the oil processing stuff that I'm going to need. You know, for the polymer press, the oil refinery, eventually the fertilizer synthesizer that'll be down there, not to mention the power generation, which is the petroleum generator, natural gas generator. All of those things are going to find their way eventually into an oil production system down here. And it looks like this is a pretty practical place to put it right down here. So I might just kind of mine out this area, crank up the amount of algae we have and all that good stuff, and just put it there. So one of the questions was whether or not the Atmosuits could go down into water or down into liquids and like really far. So we're gonna find out. This here says unreachable. So I think the limit as far as a duplicate can go, I think it was somewhere around 3 tiles down. I'm not sure on that, don't quote me on that. But there is a limit how far a duplicate can actually go underneath. But it looks like with the Atmosuit, it was able to go down there. So check that out. Yes, you can go underwater. However, the surroundings are quite toasty. So this was right back to that first comment. There was a whole discussion on this, right? Do exosuits work underwater? A flooded base could be viable. An underwater base? That sounds awesome. One day, a challenge must be done like that. But yeah, okay, so it looks like it works just fine. Check that out. No problem at all. This little slickster down here has no idea what to do. It's just like, did I just see what I saw? Bunch of duplicates? I've never seen them. That's right. So one problem, if I put the polymer press right here, the plastic that it makes will melt, which is not what I want. I mean, I do want it to melt at some point, but I don't want it to melt right away. Look at it, it's 80 degrees Celsius right here. Okay, oil refinery. Boom! It's the first time I've ever made this thing. That's going to give off, it's going to consume a ridiculous amount of crude oil, and it will make lots and lots of petroleum and a little bit of natural gas. It's not shy on its heat production. 50 watts. Polymer press, look at that, 162 watts. It's a little bit more. Dr. Camille, what? Bro, how'd you end up here? Seriously. Like, I don't even know how you got there. Here's a ladder. Every time, I tell you what, they just... Okay, so for the generators that I need down here, We're just going to line this stuff up so that I can get all the power I need. Coal generator to kick things off, natural gas generator to keep things going. That's going to give off a little bit of polluted water, so maybe that is not the best spot for it. There's going to be a lot of different gases in one area. Turns out we're making a little power plant down here. So I've got the oil refinery, coal generator. I'll have the natural gas generator up here with a little bit of a water pump to kind of get stuff away from that. Feed the fertilizer makers, get that up and running. That way I can pretty much control all the different gases I have. At some point, we're going to have a polymer maker here. Or a polymer press, I should say. That consumes 833 grams a second of petroleum. So that should be about 6 for one oil refinery. So really, I should have the natural gas generator drip onto the polymer presses. That way they're cooling, self-cooling. Now if I wanted to make a petroleum generator, that's going to give off a lot of carbon dioxide, a whole lot of polluted water, incredible amount of heat. Look at that, 2 kilowatts, but it's going to make a lot of power. I'm definitely going to need this fertilizer though if I want to make my sleet wheat farm, which is over here. So it's, I would say it's close by, but it's really not that close by. We can make a little plastic runway though to get from here to there. And that's at least closer than being way, way up over here. Even though I do like this. Okay, so oxygen has found its way into this space. So, if I take a look at the power, I really want this to be carbon dioxide down here, which is no longer what I have. So a lot of my food is starting to rot. So I'm going to put in a little bit of a power switch right here. And then I'll be able to turn that off and re-enable the coal generator to kind of get that pressure up as far as the carbon dioxide is concerned and keep my food from going bad. As you can see, I'm also preparing for another duplicate down here. So we can continue to expand the base and, you know, just kind of take over the whole map if possible. The whole map! Look at that. Okay, flip this switch off. Now another thing I could do is I could use like a thermal switch or something like that and set a temperature high or low. That way a duplicate doesn't have to run over there to flip that switch on or off. It's a little less authentic though, so I'm not doing that. So another thing I can do here is I can enable the option to pump some of the carbon dioxide here into that space if I wanted it to. So that's what I'm going to do right here. I'm just going to use a little bit of a high pressure gas vent and everything. Oops, not right there. And make that work. So this way I can increase that gas pipe. Now I could potentially hook that up to a switch to make sure that it always maintains a certain gas pressure. But right now I have a gas line that's running carbon dioxide up here. And that's just getting deleted, essentially. Or essentially converted into reed fiber. But the other way is that it's running over here into this spot, which has no real purpose. I can actually just get rid of this. I don't need that. Because I'm no longer using that algae terrarium there. Okay, back to the main focus of what I'm doing down here. Alright, so if I put my natural gas generator right here, and then I build the floor like this, that liquid will flow over here. And then I can build the polymer press right next to it. This is a lot of heat in one spot. I don't know if it's all going to work, but we can do that as well. What I might want to have, because it's going to make sense, is a liquid vent right up here. That way I can drip and kind of force liquid through this. Okay, so in order to feed all of these, what I need to do is restrict down exactly how much polluted water is going to go to all of them. So I'm going to use a lot of liquid valves here. So then the liquid polluted water that's coming out of this will then go over, and then it'll come down. It'll go through all of those and it'll get split out. However, I also want it to be able to go up to the Oh, crap. You lagged on me, game. No! What I was saying is you'll actually be able to go up all the way up here, and then also drip over as well. And then I'll be able to put a little bit of another valve up there. This will back up with a little bit of polluted water to start off. Oh, unless I put it in a different spot, but I can handle that wherever I want, actually. So there, we'll put it right there so it's in a good spot. Okay, one of the things you guys mentioned as far as slime production, or one of the tricks, I guess, is to drop that slime into water so that it doesn't continuously give off polluted oxygen. I'm guessing the exact same thing would work for bleach stone. So I wonder if I could dump a little bit of water. Oh, I don't know if I want to dump a little bit of water down here, but I could, wherever I'm storing my bleach stone. Because it's not like I need chlorine gas with that geyser over here. But I would like to have some bleach stone as far as, you know, the cleaning, or be able to use it in a little tongue licker thing. So let's try this. Let's just do a little experiment. Take this storage compactor and I'll build it right here. We'll see if it's underwater or not, and then I'll try to put bleach stone over there. And hey, looks like that worked out. I don't see any chlorine gas anywhere over here. Nice little trick. Alright, most of the construction down here is done. Just a little bit of sweeping and stuff to do. Whoops. Actually, there's a lot of tiles that are not built. So let's go ahead and build those up real quick. I suppose I could solve all of my power problems here with a heavy watt wire. It's big, it's ugly, but nobody cares about the core down here, so I think I could just do this number. Just run a spine right through the middle of everything. The amount of metal that's consumed in heavy watt wire is quite significant, in case you're wondering. I mean, it's 100 per tile as compared to 25, so it's a lot of wire. However, I have a giant iron ore deposit over here that I can tap into as well. So the oil reservoir is way down over here. Way down there. So that'll eventually get piped and pumped all the way back up to this oil rig at this point. Alright, I reconfigured this stuff down here just a little bit. So I'm bringing in my crude oil from the pump way down here for right now. And then I will be pumping the rest of this out like this. But I have a power transformer over here that's going to allow me to run this pump separately and not use a giant heavy wire to go all the way down there. And once I dig up more iron, that's what I'll use to run down there. I'll just run a iron wire and make that work. How's the temperature doing up here though? You know what? It isn't half bad. This isn't ridiculous. I've gotten the carbon dioxide pressure inside of here nice and high again, so I'm actually just going to get rid of that high pressure gas vent. Boop. Take care of that. And this thing seems to be running just fine, so I'm happy with that. What is Frankenmeat doing? Look at him. He keeps losing his head. Ooh, there we go. Petroleum. Excellent. Now, what temperature is that petroleum at? Oh, 70 degrees Celsius. This stuff is hot. Let me tell you what, this has really turned into the thing to build. I mean, it is big. Did I do 150 all the way across? Yes, I did. Excellent. This will be 20 for the sake of it. I guess if I end up with too much polluted water, I can dump it somewhere else. I don't have a petroleum generator factored into this thing yet. But it's not like there isn't plenty of room. Temperature-wise, I should be good because this is all going to be abyssalite around it. So it's nice and enclosed that way. Should be in a pretty good situation here. I'm bringing some water down from the steam geyser. As you can imagine, there's a lot of water being used and it has to go a long ways, but hopefully we don't exceed the output of that geyser. I'm going to disable these so that they don't start making stuff before I'm ready. The inlet seems to be doing okay over here as far as what I'm planning for. This will filter out to natural gas. What to do with anything that isn't natural gas, though? I don't know if I want to consume a bunch of extra power just to... Well, I guess I do. For a little while, until I just end up with like carbon dioxide. I don't know if I care about oxygen being up here at the top. I don't think I really do. So, I'll just do this number. That's a bit weird that you need a duplicate to run the oil refinery, but that's alright. At least they all have this awesome little exosuit. I mean, those exosuits, let me tell you what, they have made a universe of difference as far as my ability to make this system down here without really any trouble at all. Like, I'm not even, there's like no effort. I mean, there is effort in planning it out, but as far as like what conditions my duplicates are going to have to deal with, none of that. Doesn't even matter. I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts. Very nice. Alright, I'm going to try to store my plastic right here. So that way, you know, once we get some plastic there, I'll be able to click on it, set it to a super high priority, so that as soon as it pops out of the polymer press here, I could just get it right out of the system. Because I don't want any of that melting right here, because that would just totally mess up the flow of, hopefully, my cooling loop. I'll put a deodorizer up here just to get rid of the polluted oxygen. That should work pretty good. I have some confused liquid pipes. Now they're even more confused. I mean, it's not like my water system is all that confusing. Look, it just goes from here to here to here to here to, and a little bit over there as well. It's easy enough for me to understand. This pump up here must be grabbing a little bit of hydrogen every now and then, because I'm seeing other exosuit docks start to have a little bit of damage. Although I just never saw anything but oxygen flow in here, so I don't know. Maybe I ought to turn this down a little bit so that it clicks on a little bit more often. If I do like 350, that keeps the pressure down as far as the hydrogen is concerned. So I should end up with more oxygen. Maybe that'll just do its thing. Aha! I have found the problem. My liquid bridges down here. They are backwards. Okay, so here comes some nice hot water. It's flowing all the way down here. And now a little bit of polluted water is going to go up and find its way into this area. So now, as far as the power is concerned, what I need here is a hydro switch. And that hydro switch is going to go right there to only allow this pump to run once it's reached, I don't know, 10 kilograms worth of water or more, so that it just, you know, cycles on and off a little bit. One thing that will happen here is this thing's going to give off quite a bit of polluted oxygen. I don't know if that's really a problem, though. I guess at some point it will be a problem because the pressure inside of here will just become too high. So we'll put this at 20 kilograms or so. That way a little bit of water builds up in the space and then finds its way out. But it seems like it's flowing down just fine. If I look at the temperature on this, well, it's kind of hard to see, but it's not too bad yet. 47 degrees Celsius. Ish. 50-ish. Ish. It's a lot better than 113, which is right down here. Alright, so let's turn on the polymer press here and just bring this thing to life. See what happens. And see what I forgot. Clearly, I forgot this gas pump over here, but that needs an atmospheric switch on it. So an atmo switch right there, and then some heavy watt wire. Boom. And we'll say this isn't going to run till, let's say, 1500. I can bring that down once we actually start to get some natural gas in this area. I suppose, since I have a deodorizer up here, what I'm actually creating is a lot of oxygen. Yet another way to make oxygen, I guess. Right here. Madness. I'll be able to turn some of this into sand at some point, maybe. Alright, here we go. We got the polymer press running. And it's pooping out its first chunk of plastic here. There it is. Awesome. Oh, crap. I forgot about this completely. Oh no! If steam is in this area, then I'm going to get clean water as well, and that could totally mess me up. Well, first things first, let's store this plastic. Way down here. Okay, there you go. Well, I'll tell you what, let's enable all of these and just see what happens. What could possibly go wrong? Boom, check this out. Oops, forgot a little bit. Right here. All these fertilizer makers running. All this natural gas. All this water. Quite confused water. That's not going to be filtered. And then it's going to damage everything. Okay. I'm going to have to shut this down. And run a liquid filter before I get there. 210 grams of plastic. Nice. I'll turn that priority down. Let's see if this plastic can last here. It looks like the water is actually cool enough to where it'll cool it down. For now. Alright, so the system is now up and running. And you know what? Surprisingly, it's continuing to work. Even though there is a little bit of water on top of this, it just continues to work. I mean, we're talking to like 100 grams. I don't know if it'll have a problem at some point, or if it's just going to continue to spill out over here and I just mop it up every, I don't know, 20 cycles or whatever. But for right now, it's working. I mean, it's working pretty good too. So I've got fertilizer that's being produced over here. I think fertilizer is ending up way up here. Yep. And the amount of plastic I'm producing over here is just finding its way right in front of it. If I turn up the priority on this real quick, I can see just how much plastic I have, although I suppose I could find it somewhere over here. Plastic, there we go. 810 kilograms. So there you have it, guys. I mean, for right now, it's working. Now, it isn't... I gotta figure out what job this is. We gotta get the natural gas generator up and running once it gets enough gas. We're not quite to that point just yet. So maybe I'll just keep the priority up a little bit higher on this for right now. What job is running that piece of equipment? Tend to buildings. Okay, so Frank and Meep, your job is going to be maintenance as well as build and deliver. So you should be down here just running this thing constantly. Actually, we'll get rid of deliver. It'll just be building or running that. So one of the things I could possibly do to cool this down is I could run a liquid aqua tuner on the cooling loop over here and just really chill down these polymer presses and everything in that space and make it quite a bit cooler. So I have a cooling loop that I'm running over here that kind of drips. You can see it. You know, this is not very much. Only 20 grams of polluted water find its way over there from this filter, but anything that's coming in from the carbon dioxide, you know, carbon skimmer right there, also runs through that drip as well. So once we get enough natural gas over here and get this gas pump up and running, we'll be able to get some sort of idea, or at least a better idea of how much power I have to play with. Right now I'm running off of coal completely, which isn't really there's not quite enough power to run everything, so everything's kind of turning on and off a bunch of times. It might even be in my best interest to actually disable a few of these machines until I get enough running, so that's what I'll do. I'll just disable a bunch of these. You can see the decor in this space is not very good. Minus 600, oh man, 700 in some spots. Right down here where you do the work, minus 572. I put a couple pictures down there simply for the thought. You know, it's the thought that counts. The decor down here, quite terrible. Look at it. It's all coming from the heavy watt wire. Minus 700 from the heavy watt wire. Whoa! Now, really, Meep doesn't care because he's inside of his wonderful little spacesuit and he just loves it so much that it doesn't stress him out. However, I could potentially get rid of this coal generator, move it somewhere else, right? And have this be its own little room without the heavy watt wire inside of it. That would help, but I think it's quite comical of just how terrible that is down there. Come on, natural gas, you can get up there. Let's just put 500 in here for a second, see what happens. And that was it. That pump found its way spot right into a barrier, right? So we have oxygen, that's right there, then the natural gas starts. I could deconstruct just this building right here and let some of that oxygen vent. I could do that. That might help. Because right now it's just like dividing right here, which isn't very good. See, there we go. Now we've got a lot of power. I can re-enable all of this. Now that the natural gas generator's up and doing its number. Uh-oh. The temperature got too high, and now we have naphtha down there. So the plastic is starting to melt. I have to turn this priority up a little bit more. Oh no! Alright, so I'm gonna move a door. I mean, this door's alright, but they need to get to the plastic a little bit faster. Alright, well, I got the system up and running, and it is generating enough power, when I get everything working just right, in order to produce plastic and self-sustain off the natural gas, for the most part, when I can get enough natural gas there. It's definitely not a perfect system. I'll have to optimize this a little bit more, but this is my first attempt at actually making plastic. And it seems like it's working out fairly good. There is some problems though. Right down here, the temperature by the time this water is getting down to the bottom, it's becoming too hot and that plastic is melting down into naphtha right there, which is useful. That's what I want at the end, but it's not necessarily what I want right now. So I'm going to have to find another way to, or a better way to feed these polymer presses and or cool them, essentially. So this liquid loop here is not the most ideal situation. However, for the most part, I like it, and it seems to be working well. Wellish. Or well enough. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. Let me know down there in the comment section below if you got some crazy things you want me to try here, and some different ideas of how to cool down these polymer presses, because that'll be useful here in the next episodes as I move forward here and try to make lots and lots of plastic for my base. Thanks for watching, guys. If I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Have a great day. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar.